This is the inside of the auto sleeper Burford. If we firstly come to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, you will see that this control panel is currently set up so some of the internal lights automatically come on. These lights can also be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Next we have water pump on and off. We need the water pump on to be able to get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Beneath that we then have water levels. So how much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank. We then have power levels. So condition of the leisure battery, condition of the vehicle battery, the current of the active battery, which is currently the leisure battery, what the mains current is up to, and the solar current. This one here is for the awning light, and it also turns on the entrance light just above the habitation door. We then have battery selection, so L for leisure, V for vehicle. Whichever battery is selected on here is the battery you are using to run the habitation side of the motorhome. This is also the battery that's being charged from the main supply when we're hooked up. Beneath that we then have the settings menu. So within there we have power settings. So at the moment you'll see that both are set in smart mode, which means they will cycle. So at the moment the leisure battery is being charged from the main supply and the solar panel is charging the vehicle. And then after a period of time they will then swap over. On this side we then have automatic tank fill. So if you are going to be using the whale filler, you need to make sure that this is turned on here to make the solenoid 12 volt live to allow water into the tank. And then beneath that, as this is a fully winterized motorhome, we then have waste and freshwater tank heaters. They will only come on once they've been selected, how I've just done, when the temperature outside drops below about 3-4 degrees. This one here is just what lights will come on when you turn the 12 volt system on. So at the moment the main lights will come on and the awning light will not. You can turn them all off, turn them all on, etc. It just comes down to personal preference. Key beeps on and off, water alarms on and off for the fresh and waste tank. Set your backlight level and how quickly it times out when you're not actually using the panel itself. Set your date and time, and then back to the beginning again. Along the top you'll see we have external temperature. We have this little sun symbol here. This will flash up whenever the solar panel is active. This here is just letting us know we have main supply connected. We then have the humidity and the internal temperature. If we now move across to the next control panel, this is the Truma panel for your heating, hot water and air conditioning. To turn the unit on and off, just press the button here. Once you've done so, you will then see a series of icons, and as I begin to rotate them, they will flash. If we start with the first icon there, this one here is for your heating or your air conditioning. So if I now click on it, you'll see we have heater and aircon. So if we start with the heater, click on it, you'll see the heating is currently off. All we now do is rotate the button and pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it will go right the way up to 30 degrees. Once you've picked your temperature, press to select, and you'll now see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is in operation, the flame will flash, and it will continue to flash until it has achieved the temperature you have asked it to. If we now turn the heating back off again, we can now click on it again and go into the air conditioning. Click on that. As you can see, the air conditioning is off, and again all we now do is rotate, and we can put the air conditioning into vent, cool, hot, which is not available on this particular model, and auto. I'm going to select cool and now click. We then set the temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome and then click, and then the unit will then fire up. We can control airflow just here, and then direction on these ones just here. And if we go right the way across the end here, this is fan speed for the heating or the air conditioning unit. And again, if I now go back, we can then turn the air conditioning back off again. If we now move across to the next icon, this one here is for your hot water. If I now click on that, you'll see that hot water is off, and all we now do is rotate again, and we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. And if we rotate again, we can heat it in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. Our last one is boost, which is very handy if more than one of you are going to have showers in quick succession of each other. If you do perform the boost and the heating is running, it will turn the heating off as it basically needs to use more power. Again, these will always flash when they're in operation and then go to a solid state once they're at temperature. If we now move across to the next icon, this one here is for the power source selection. So at the moment, for the heating or the hot water, we are using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, we can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt, which is handy if we're on a low amp site. We can put the system in dual fuel mode if we have both power sources available to us, so we can run it on mains and gas. Again, this is extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it's required. After that one, we then have gas and mains electricity at 1 kilowatt, and then lastly, gas on its own. We've already covered this one here, which is the circulation fan for both the heating and the air conditioning. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So we literally set when we would like the system to fire up and finish. And then once we've done this, we just literally tell it what we would like on within that period. This next one is for the air conditioning lights. So we have little light bars just here. So if we now click on it, we can then turn them on, and you can see you have different light levels. Next one is literally just clock set. And then the last one is the settings menu. So within that we have offset, which is just for the thermostat just there. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. This one here, just leave alone, it's for the air conditioning unit. You can make it unpair itself with the control panel, so it's best left alone. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen, 12 or 24 hour clock, language, index, which is more for the technicians, it just lets them know what software it's running, and then full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels will throw up error codes. They will usually be something relatively basic. It will either let you know that it hasn't got main supply, or it has failed to light on gas. Usually if it fails to light on gas, it will not allow you to reset it for up to 15 minutes because it's down to safety precautions. This can also throw up error codes if you turn this control panel off, as they are linked. There we go. You'll see we have the warning triangle and a number displayed there. It's just letting us know that 12 volt has been interrupted. If I now turn the control panel back on again, you'll see it will then automatically just disappear. So 9 times out of 10, as long as you rectify the problem, the error code will just go out. With this Truma system, you can also control it via the Truma app. If you are going to do that, you need to download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet. Launch the app. Please make sure that you've got your Bluetooth turned on. And it will firstly then ask you to come to this iNet box just here. It will ask you to press the Bluetooth button. And it will then send out the Bluetooth signal. And then you can commence connecting up. Once all connected, you will then be able to control heating, hot water, air conditioning, all via the app. This will be able to be done locally via Bluetooth, so usually up to about 30 meters. If you want to control it from further afield, you can add up the top here a pay-as-you-go SIM card, and you can register that through the app. It does not need to be an expensive SIM, as it only uses text messages. With the air conditioning unit, you are also supplied in this little white box here with a remote control, but it's kind of really obsolete if you are going to be using the app, or as you can see, you can just obviously control it up here as well. If we now move down to this bench seat just here and we remove all the cushions, and we now lift up, you will see underneath here that we have the location of the leisure battery just here, and the main 12 volt fuse just at the back there. We then also have the consumer unit. So we have the mains trip switches just here. So we have the 3 individual MCBs, the main RCD and the test button just here. And then we have the 12 volt fuses just here. Again, they are all numbered up. So all you need to do is just look in the Auto Sleeper handbook and it will then let you know what each one is for. Along the top here we have isolators for components that use main supply. So we have the isolator switch for the Whale heating and hot water system. If you turn this one off and you're running or trying to run the system on main supply, it will not work. So do make sure that this is on. This green one here is for the battery charger. Again, we want this one to be on when we're hooked up to the main supply to be able to charge the batteries. This one here that's not illuminated will let you know if you have reverse polarity connected to the van, which you can sometimes find on continental sites. And then lastly, we have full system shutdown. So if you're not planning on using the motorhome for a few months, you can press this and it will then kill any residual draw on the leisure battery. We have a few more fuses just here. These are for components more on the outside of the van, as you can see, marker lights, etc. The 12 volt feed from the vehicle battery to the fridge. Tucked down here we just have the battery charger itself. Underneath The other bench seat is storage, and then also underneath here, tucked in the corner, is a safe. We have the sink just here, and then beneath that, cutlery drawer, storage, and an extra pull-out work surface. Beneath that, we have more storage until we get underneath the cooker. In the doom and gloom, just at the back here, we have a gas isolation tap, which is just for the cooker itself. With the hob, we have one electric hot plate that will run off the main supply, on and off on this one here. And then we have the gas rings, so that is literally just push in, twist and push the igniter. And then beneath that we have the grill. And then the oven. Above the hob we have the extractor, 2 fan speeds, and then 2 light settings. Behind me we have the freestanding table, the microwave. The isolator for the microwave is just tucked just here. This particular microwave does not require a microwave plate, and it's fairly normal. Like most, you have your instant start just here, and then you stop and you cancel, and then you have all your power supplies just up the top there. Beneath it is the Dometic fridge freezer, on and off just here. This particular model is an auto, so as long as you're on auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're currently hooked up to mains supply, it's put us directly onto mains electricity. If I now went outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as you start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain. We have temperature control just here. And then we have mode, so we can take it out of auto if we want to. We can manually put it onto 12 volt maintain. We're going to get an error at the moment because the engine is not running. And we can then manually put it onto gas or mains, or put it back onto auto. We then have the freezer compartment with travel locks, and then we have the fridge with also 2 travel locks. If we now move through into the bedroom, we will firstly come to the wardrobe. In here we have, again, a few components. So up the top here we have the Huawei built-in Wi-Fi system. So in the book pack it does come with all the instructions for this and also a SIM card. If I turn this on at the moment, it will ask me to basically insert a SIM. So once you've inserted the SIM card, you can then search for the Wi-Fi on your device and then link up to it. Once you've done so, you then have to pay the subscription and then you have motorhome Wi-Fi. Also in here we have the Max View TV aerial booster, on and off on the bottom just here. Control the boost just here. With this particular one it is just a static aerial, so there's no mast that needs to be put up or down. Just down here we have a switch. This switch here just turns the back speakers on and off. So if you're listening to the radio and somebody in the bedroom does not want to be listening to it, they can turn them off just here. If we now lift up the bed, you will see that we have plenty of storage beneath it. And also underneath here we have the boiler itself, and you will also see two more gas taps for the heating and the hot water system and the fridge. With the boiler we have the boiler drain valve. These particular drain valves are automatic, so if there's water in this boiler and the internal temperature drops below about 3-4 degrees, that valve will automatically open and it will drop all the water out to frost protect itself. To drain the boiler down manually for winterization, etc., all we need to do is make sure the water pump is turned off on the control panel, come to this blue diamond here and twist it. When we twist it, the blue button will pop out at the bottom where my finger is here, and it will begin draining all the water out. When it comes to filling it back up again, twist and push the button back in. If it has auto drained, all that's happened is the blue button's popped out and you just need to push it back in. The only time you're touching that blue diamond is if you've manually drained it. If when you're pushing the blue button in it's just popping straight back out again, it's far too cold in the motorhome and you will need to turn your heating on to allow it to reset. If we now move right the way to the rear of the motorhome, we have the washroom. So we have the Thetford toilet just here. So to open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever here and then push the flush just here. This will only flush if the water pump is turned on. And then we have the level indicator just here. This will rotate round to red once the cassette gets to the point that it needs emptying. We then have the basin just here and the shower cubicle. Light switch just up here. This will also turn on the extractor fan as well. Do make sure that the shower screen is fully secured for travel. If we now move back through, I will now show you how to make the front bed up. This is a nice simple bed to make. We do have these two cushions as well, which I'll explain in a moment. It is just a matter of slightly lifting up and pulling out both sides, so they just meet in the middle. Once we've done this, it's then just a matter of dropping your cushions in. I find that it is actually better to flip them over because they are flatter. Once they're all in, you'll find that you have a slight gap just down the edge there, and that's what these two cushions are for here.